We're going to continue talking about Tucson. Let's talk about the goaltending and the defense, should we? Shall we?
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Locked On Coyotes, your number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. Today's episode brought to you by Bird Dogs. I'm your host, Robyn Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson. On this actually a little extra episode that we got for you guys as we're finishing up the conversation we had earlier this week, talking about the Tucson Roadrunners, or really what they might look like, because we don't know yet, because training camp hasn't even happened yet. We're still, weeks away from that. But we're still going to talk about Tucson anyways, because there's still some things to be excited about of players we could probably say likely will be there.
Yeah, because this is everyone that is under contract. And with Dermott likely playing in Arizona, I still stand by what I said earlier, that Soderstrom probably will not make the opening roster, which would give us 9 defensemen to choose from, but 2 of them might not play for Tucson. One of them is eligible, so let's jump right into this. We got Victor Soderstrom, who I think will be in Tucson. I straight up, I think he at least needs an extra half season, and we'll see where it goes. Michael Kesselring, RFA after this season. I liked Kesselring. Very, very, very small sample size. Go ahead and pull up his stats real quick. 10 games, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points with Tucson last year. With the Coyotes, 3 assists in 9 games. He looked solid. Big boy, too. This is a big kid, 6'4". A lot of these defensemen we got on this team, when I'm down at ice level, make me feel quite inadequate.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, we talked about this when, I think, when we were at prospect development camp early last month, right? You saw some of the big prospects, some of the big young guys were like, oh, you're big.
How's it going up there? Hey there, bud. How's it going? And
it makes sense though. It fits the Bill Armstrong mold.
Drafting a basketball team, putting them on ice, and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of a basketball team, probably playing, I'm going to assume this to be a small forward hype, but 6'7" Maverick Lamoureux, who, fun fact, is actually one of just 3 defensemen that are under contract for next year. You have Maverick Lamoureux, Maximilian Zuber, and Montana Onyebuchi. But we're talking about Lamoureux, 19 years old, so he will not play in Tucson. He would not be eligible until, is it next full season, or is it if he turns 20, like at the end of the year, once their season's up, he's eligible to come up?
If his season ends before Tucson's does, if he is 20 by then, which I'm assuming he will be,
January 13th. So yeah, he'll be 20
he will
in
be.
January.
Yeah, he will be then. He can come to Tucson and he can play there, and then next year he'll be able to play his full season with Tucson.
You know what's interesting? He missed some time last year. 35 games, 5 goals, 14 assists, 19 points. It's QMJHL, playing for Drummondville. Season prior, 54 games, 4 goals, 20 assists, 24 points. 1 more goal, obviously about 6 fewer assists. Only about 5 fewer points in the playoffs. He had more games and more points. 9 goals, 2 assists, 9 goals, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 9 games. There we go. I'm awake now.
There we go.
I know it. I'm still interested in Lamoureux. He has literally all the utility. So that is someone that theoretically should be eligible if the season ends before Tucson's does, though I kind of feel like this is a Tucson fans, this is a next year thing. That'll probably be he'll play for you next year.
That seems about right. I mean, like it'd be nice to see him maybe get like, get a little taste of what it's like in Tucson. But last year, Drummondville, I believe, went pretty deep in the in the QMJHL playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they might have won the QMJHL playoffs, and that Quebec team was the host. So I think I forgot exactly how it worked. I think, but they made it pretty far, if I'm not mistaken. So just don't hold your breath, Coyotes fans.
Yeah, Tucson. We're talking about Tucson right now.
Exactly. We're talking about Tucson. And speaking of, in a terms of, as you mentioned, players that are under contract.
Drummondville went to the conference semifinals. I just wanted to throw that out there while we're doing this. So they did have a little bit of a run. Anyway, are we on Zuber? Are we on Maximilian Zuber?
This is a dude that's going to actually excite me because, I think he's finally going to make his way to the North American game. I want to see him in Tucson. I really want to see him in Tucson.
He should. I will double check live because we want to make sure we are giving you the most accurate information possible. I do believe he is already slated to go back to the DEL for one more year on a loan. Officially, as of right now, he is slated to go back to the DEL on loan. That being said, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't, play on North American ice, but I will. Same thing. It's funny. All the players that are under contract past this season, minus Montana Onyebuchi, are guys where I'm like, hey, Tucson, this is probably going to be next year. But he's 20 years old. He is eligible. He played pretty well in the DEL last year. I do believe he and his team won the championship this most recent year. And it's, I want him on North American ice. I'm very intrigued by him. You got a couple other prospects like Artem Duda, who I do believe he was the one that committed to go to college. We got a couple other defensive prospects that are going to be a couple of years away but because I feel like Zuber and Lambrou are closer.
I think it's just super important for prospects. And again, nothing against the European game or just the international game as a whole. The North American game just plays very differently. So I think you really need to be able to adjust to that, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the North American game is a little bit more narrow and it's got a little more rules. It's faster. So it's got a lot of other things going on. So you gotta adjust. And again, like you said, he's slated to go back to the DAL, but things could change. Maybe sometimes like he decides it's like, I like what Tucson's doing. I could be wrong, but
I would love that. I'm just going to assume DEL next year, and then the season after we'll see him in Tucson. Patrick Cook, UFA. This reminds me a lot of the last guy that they got from one of the Euro leagues that immediately left after 1 year. I'm blanking his name, but 26-year-old player making a little under $850,000. He kind of feels like we need a little bit of veteran presence, and the AHL seems to have a problem maintaining talent. And then sometimes you'll have players that think they might be able to sniff the NHL. They'll end up coming over to the AHL in their mid to late 20s. I feel like he'll be another 1 year type guy, but that's still going to be someone that's probably going to play a significant role for Tucson. And then the man, the myth, the legend, Montana Onyebuchi. Love this name. He's also we have too many right shot defensemen.
It's amazing the fact that we have so many right shot defensemen. And I already mentioned this. Those that listen to the show every day kind of already know that, I said this. It's amazing that we have more right shot defensemen than I think really any other team in the league. In a league where right shot defensemen are hard to come by. So,
yeah, we just got them stacked up, and it's gonna cause a clog. There's how we had a little bit of double lefties last year for the Coyotes. It's gonna be a lot of double righties for Tucson, because if you also add Soderstrom down there, because I don't think they'll be carrying 8 defensemen, and it's gonna depend, at least to me, on when Dermott's ready to go. Probably should be ready to go at the start of the season, I would think, logically. But
right.
It's interesting. And then we got someone that I think is, I don't understand the momentum here. He plays well in Tucson. I want to bring up his numbers as well. He's sound defensively. He has a little bit of that offense in him. Last year, 21 points, 3 goals, 18 assists in 71 games. He showed a little bit, and the season prior, 2 goals, 12 assists, 14 points in 33 games. Vladislav Kolyachonok, he's brought over in that Strawman trade. Craig Morgan seems relatively high on him. It appears within the organization they are relatively high on him. I just
haven't seen enough yet.
Yeah, he feels like someone that can be called up if there's injuries, but should be an AHLer. And again, he's 22, so that does not mean he can't keep going and improving. I'm just saying what I've seen.
Said defensemen take a lot longer to develop, so there's still time. There was still a lot of time. It's just interesting because I feel like I'm not sure if hype is the term, but the praise that he was given when first coming over from trade by Craig Morgan, by if I'm not mistaken, by a colleague within our network from Locked On Panthers. I think he gave some good praise when the trade was announced. It's like, oh, you're gonna love him. He's great. A lot of things like that, and I feel like our expectations were set higher than it should have been.
You know what's funny? I have to disagree just from my own perspective. My own specific perspective is this kid should be good in Tucson. And that's it. That's the only thing I personally had with him. And I want to see him crack the roster. We were talking about the Coyotes before, and I will just take a very quick list down here right now. Dumba, Dursey, Brown, Stetcher, Valimaki, Mosier, Soderstrom, and Dermott. Let's just say the season doesn't go the way you like. You trade away Stetcher, Dumba, maybe Brown. Let's say you trade a couple guys away. Kolyachonok will get his call up. Kolyachonok will get his opportunity. With the kids coming in and the guys they will likely be able to land in free agency over the next couple of years, I just don't see it. And I feel a little bad for saying that because he's a good player. I like him. I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing a completely different scenario here.
And we will touch on that a little bit more, and we'll talk about the last couple of defensemen listed for the Coyotes / Tucson Roadrunners in just a minute. But first, I want to tell everyone about our next partner from Bird Dogs. Today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Are you tired of sacrificing comfort for style when it comes to your activewear? Introducing Bird Dogs, a game changer in the flex shorts. Picture this: premium shorts designed for maximum performance, combined with unparalleled comfort. Bird Dogs are here to revolutionize your workout routine with a unique built-in liner. These shorts offer the most ultimate support and flexibility, ensuring you stay comfortable even during the most intense workouts. They're versatile enough to take you from the gym to the street without skipping a beat, and they're designed with pockets that actually work. Bird Dogs give you ample space to store your essentials while you're on the move. Bird Dogs are made with premium breathable fabric to keep you cool and dry throughout your activities. So order your pair of Bird Dogs today and join the thousands of satisfied customers who have made the switch. Visit birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL and enter the promo code LockedOnNHL to get a free white tech hat with every order. Bird Dogs, where style meets comfort and performance meets perfection. You won't want to take these shorts off. We promise you.
I'll keep my shorts on. I promise all of you. To all the listeners out there, I will keep my shorts on.
All right. Let's finish up then. Talk about more of a defenseman for the Arizona Coyotes to Tucson Roadrunners pipeline. So we're not going to talk about
the Tucson Roadrunners. Come on now.
The Tucson, the Tucson, the
Tucson Roadrunners. Anyway, they are separated by exactly 10 years. They are separated by exactly 10 years. One of them I actually was listening to the Roadrunners Insider podcast when he was a guest. Steven Comfort. He signs a 1-year contract. It's funny because he actually signed with the Coyotes where before it was a minor league trade and his contract went right down to Tucson. But he was still technically in the system. So whenever they said welcome to the desert, it should have been welcome back to the desert. But 34 years of age. Last year with Tucson in 15 games, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. And in the playoffs, 3 games played, 1 assist. He's there to be a veteran presence, right shot defenseman, 5'11", so right around that 6-foot mark. But he also kind of seems to like the weather here, kind of seems to like his family being down there in Tucson. Tucson is not bad per se. I'm more of a West Valley kid, and that's far away from Tucson where I like to be, but it's good to have people that like to be in Tucson down there, because he could theoretically have signed anywhere, and he would have been able to have a veteran presence on any roster.
Yeah, I know a lot of players that said they like being in Tucson, because I think it's it's a lot more laid back. It is a very laid back city, and like heck, there's a lot. I mean, if you are like an active person or a person who likes to go out in nature, it's a great place to be. There's just, for especially as I'm going to say this, maybe those that are, on the other side of 30, if you're in your 20s outside of a college student and you're in Tucson, it's not a lot. There's a reason why I left. But
dude, it looks like a mini LA without any of the hustle and bustle, without any of the actual
there's also no freeways, but
you got the one freeway. You got the one singular freeway.
What, I-10 going around it?
It's designed to do what you should be doing in Tucson. You get off to take advantage of the cheap gas, get a bite to eat, get right back on the freeway and go where you were going.
It is a food city, so I love that. That's another thing I love about it. But we're not here to talk about Tucson as a city. Again, I could, but we're not here to do that.
I'm here to trash on Tucson as a city because I'm an ASU fan.
But I'm glad that someone like Stephen Comfort came to Tucson because he likes to be here. That he he's there as a veteran presence again. At his age, he's going to be there. To really help out all of these young guys. I really feel like that was one thing that was super needed in the on the Roadrunners blue line.
Yeah, and someone that is literally 10 years younger. Exactly. Also a right shot defenseman. Too many righties. We actually probably could do a lineup projections and only put right shot defenseman and just say Kolyachonok is the extra defenseman of Sayers. But anyway, the Arizona Coyotes 82nd overall selection in 2017. Boston University alum Cam Crotty, who I do not know how to feel about. Good, solid, mostly, at least from my perspective, kind of a more physical, defensive defenseman. Last year, one goal, 12 assists, 13 points, career high in point totals at the AHL level, playing in 64 games. He feels like an AHLer. It's good to have him back in Tucson. It's good to have that consistency. It's good to have some staples. You need staple players down there. I just don't know if he ever plays in the NHL.
No, yeah, it definitely feels like one of the people that's going to end up being a lifetime AHLer. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I feel like there are players that I think really benefit from being in the AHL, especially as a eventual vet to help help the other ones develop. A lot of players turn out that way, and that's completely fine. I still want to see a little bit more from Cam Crotty, but again, I do feel like he's right around where he should be.
Yeah. Do you want to try to project out these lines? Because Hunter Drew is also that weird hybrid winger / defenseman. So I think we should try to project out the defensive pairings. Let's just have a little bit of fun with it.
Oh,
Kolyachonok as a left shot defenseman. Let's say Soderstrom as your right shot defenseman. That's your top pair.
That's your top pair.
Cook probably plays. So let's say like him and either Kesselring or him and Crotty. Or him and Comfort.
I'd say him and Crotty.
All right.
Probably put Comfort with Onyebuchi.
Okay.
Even though they're both right shot, you're gonna get that. But
So is Michael Kesselring the odd man out here?
Ooh, you're right.
You see, this is where it gets difficult. Now, if we take away Soderstrom, Kesselring could just slot right in there. You can swap any, let's say Montana Onyebuchi is on your first line and Kesselring goes down to the side. Doesn't really matter, but like, we're just trying to like convey that Soderstrom probably goes down. These pairings, even just pretending Lamoureux and Zuber don't exist, they have 7 defensemen to choose from without any other context.
This is the tough thing with Victor Soderstrom because, like, we want to see him develop more in Tucson, but Tucson's also got, some solid, defensive lineup that you can make out of it. And it's just like, where do you fit him exactly that's going to work best for him and work best for both teams? Like, it's tough. It really is tough on trying to get Soderstrom in there. And get everyone to fit in. It's tough. It really is.
I think that Steve Potvin is going to have a very good situation this year where we kind of saw, and I'll stand by what I said, the Coyotes, when it came to losing those draft picks at the end of the Chaika era, they would be fine for a year or so. They still had some prospects, and they had the ability to get more draft assets, which they have. They've restocked the cupboard. It's great. But Tucson did suffer. The NHL team doesn't care too much about that. But, Tucson suffered. But now we're finally going from, do we have enough players to, while healthy, while this is a healthy roster, to, yeah, we actually have a little more than we need. And that's good. They need that. And I'm going to be interested to see who else they add, what AHL contracts I'm forgetting about, what AHL contracts are yet to be signed.
True. Absolutely. I will say this one thing, Matt, and something that it came to my head, and then I remembered it almost immediately, but I'm just going to bring it up anyways, kind of tell you, just because I know a lot of Coyotes fans and Roadrunners fans out here are just going to have a little heartbreak a little bit for the 2 players that weren't mentioned because they're no longer on the team, because the absence of Cam Dineen and Dyson Mayo, who were traded over, by the trade deadline, like those were 2 solid like Roadrunners defensemen who I really think were a good part of that defensive core. I'm sad to see that they're gone again, because I covered them for a while. I mean, I think maybe. Trying to think, Dineen a little bit more than Mayo, but
I think it's Mayo had that really good stretch in the last year in Glendale, and then sucked as soon as he got that contract extension, which really sucked because it would have been nice to have him be a staple until the new arena's built. That was kind of how I was covering it at the time. But Dineen was actually pretty solid, like not pretty solid, really solid in Tucson. That one did kind of suck, but it also kind of felt like there was no way in hell he was playing in Arizona. There wasn't, and if he wanted the opportunity, did he go? No, I don't think it was Bakersfield, but he went somewhere where he has a little bit more of a chance to try to get something going. So best of luck to him. I thought he played for Bakersfield before, unless I'm confusing before.
No, he was with Bakersfield. He went to Bakersfield.
Yeah, I mean, being an Anaheim system, I guarantee is a little more of a chance there, but I'm not sure if he's going to be NHL.
That's the Oilers system.
It's goals. Both birds.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got that mistaken. Robyn checked me at the door. Want to do goalies? We got 5 minutes left. Talk about goalies.
Yeah, let's do goalies.
Anson Thornton, 20 years of age, is the only one that's signed past this year. We have a trend. Do we see a trend happening here that the Coyotes are leaving themselves so much flexibility for the next couple of seasons?
It's also going to scare me a little bit because that means they have next off season we're going to be like contract.
Anyway. So 20 years of age last year with the Barrie Colts, 44 games, 313 goals against, 903 save percentage. That's in the OHL. The Q is the one that has a lot of struggles defensively. So that is something to keep a little bit of an eye on. However, for the Sarasota Sting the year before, 26 games, 405 goals against, 883. So the numbers are going up. And in the playoffs, 12 games, 291, 8 and 898 save percentage. The numbers are getting better. I do remember I do not remember if it was Coronin or Thornton. Craig Morgan was talking about one of the goaltenders that was going through the system and saying they want to see more out of him, and it would make sense for either of them. However, if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't confirmed that he's going back to the OHL this year, and he is eligible to play in Tucson.
Well, the interesting thing, and I'll say this: once you get to 20, I do not believe you can stay in the CHL.
He is officially, at least on Elite Prospects, he's marked with Tucson and AHL. He will be in the mix, very likely. That has me excited because Prosy should be the guy that gets calls up when there's injuries. Then you have Matt Villalta right behind him, who should give him good competition. And if Anson Thornton, who had some improvements numerically last year, can come in and make an impact, that's two players that should be able to light a fire underneath Ivan, which right there should elevate him and give Tucson better goaltending.
You know what?
Best case scenario, Thornton can win the spot this year in Tucson.
Yeah. So with those three, the one thing I really want to think about is, of course, you can't really have three on the roster at once because it doesn't really help a lot. You have two, and Prosy is going to be up there. Is just going to be there until he gets the call up. That's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So that means I think Thornton probably the best bet if you want to keep a close eye on him, because the Coyotes do not have an ECHL affiliate. You can kind of do what you want with. You can be like, all right, we can loan you to another ECHL team. Let's send you to the Grizzlies. Let's send you to Utah because why not? You're close enough. So in case you get the call up, you can easily make your way over here to Tucson. Like, I think that's the closest ECHL team, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think there's one. I don't think there's one in New Mexico, but you have opportunity there. Also, the loan system gets weird. I have seen AHL players be shared before. Famously, the player that was traded in exchange for Marc-Andre Fleury stayed in Chicago's system playing for Rockford. Famously. So, like, some weird things can happen. I'm surprised
it's definitely possible. I mean, I definitely wouldn't keep him in the Pacific Division because that just would not be.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense. But you can send him over to like Milwaukee. Like there are teams you can go.
I feel like that's the team that Tucson would be sharing with the most for some reason. It's Milwaukee.
Just get him away. Go over east. Get away.
Yeah.
Go to Rochester.
Go to no, that's a little too. I think it's a little too far. I want to at least be somewhat close. Like I would get Milwaukee. I would get like Chicago or Iowa, but
Iowa would make sense. Yeah.
Texas, just no. Do not send them to the Texas Stars.
No. But you also have to consider Villalta was brought in to help compete with Ivan. Your best case scenario is Thornton beating out Villalta, because Villalta is not someone that's in their future. He's 24 years old, same age as Ivan. True. He is not someone that is in our future plans. Legitimately, you could ice Villalta and be theoretically fine, or just loan him out to another team until you need him. I want Thornton to get an opportunity because this kid, him and Vejmelka both kind of came out of nowhere and the Coyotes scooped him up. And I want to see where this goes. I want updates on Rasmus Coronin. The Coyotes have some goaltending coming up, and Tucson already saw, I think, 5 games of Coronin 2 years ago on a loan. Tucson's, the net is not going to look the same very, very shortly.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be very different. I mean, I think if we think about turnover, you get like, when it comes to Tucson, you get a lot of that in the way in which, like, once you get comfortable with a certain like system, or at least one or two guys, you instantly have a new system. Like, I almost feel like it was just yesterday where the tandem system in Tucson was Aiden Hill and Hunter Miska.
I miss Miska. I really liked Hunter Miska.
And Merrick Madsen at number 3 behind him. Harvard kid, Merrick Madsen, by the way. But it's, that just tells you that, it's tough with the goalies. It really is, because they can go one way or the other. And you see, what happened to Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill's now on his way, like he's a Stanley Cup champion.
Pretty big contract too.
Yeah. Good for
nothing
him.
Against him. I have no idea if he's going to live up to that, but I am happy he got the bag. He got a cup and the bag.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's probably looking at the Coyotes right now and kind of like snorking a little bit, because he was done bad by the Coyotes system.
They would have lost him for nothing. They did what they had
to
do.
Not even outside of that, but like, the times when he'd get sent down. Again, these were just stories.
They were loyal to Antti Ranta, and it's like we were loyal to guys like Ranta and Goligoski. And don't let me go on a rant. Robyn, take it away for the outro. Don't let me rant on this one.
I knew where that was going, but yeah, we were right. We do have to end on this one. So that's going to be it for today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We are available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube and now on the SiriusXM radio app. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn_Leano. Matthew Jacobson's at The Easy Sports Guy. Interact with us, ask a question you might have. We might answer it right back, or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.